And then the skin on her face rotted off and she just had a skull and muscle and nothing else. And that is why you should always wash your face in the morning.
Do my tears count?
My grandma was an awesome person, but was she a great parent? Well, it's a bit of a contentious topic. She was an eccentric lady to say the least, and we did a lot of creative activities that probably seem inappropriate for kids these days. For example, she was the one who introduced me to mushroom foraging, and as a result, was also the one who got me my first pocket knife. She also taught me how to earn money by stealing beer bottles from local drunks and recycling them for pennies. But the most fascinating thing about her was her approach to teaching me what not to do. And it wasn't to just tell me. She would instead make up horrific and mentally scarring stories. Some, all, of which still haunt me to this day. Cheers, Gran. And you might say, well, it sounds like it worked great, as you probably stayed away from potentially dangerous things. And yes, I can see the intent was pure, but you have no idea how imaginative and detailed she got with her stories. If she was around today, I guarantee she would be a popular YouTube vlogger, as she was a master of exaggerating and bringing in the shock value. And again, exaggerating while teaching someone a lesson doesn't seem like too much of a problem in itself. So many parents do it. I mean, how many times did your parents threaten to call the police when you haven't finished your dinner? Well, my gran took it to another level by making every made-up consequence as gory as possible.
I don't wanna eat it, it's gross.
You know, I know a little boy named Timmy who did not want to finish their food. His stomach literally digested itself, and now he has a hole in the middle of his body.
I swear, producers of Saw movies should have hired her as a writer. The movies would have still been bad, but at least the torture scenes would be creative. So now that you have an idea of what she was like, let me tell you some of the things I learned from Gran. Every summer, I would go visit my gran for 2 months, and we would go to the countryside and do a whole bunch of fun things. The town she lived in was fairly small, and we would regularly walk to the market to get some food. And on the way to the market, we would always pass this lake. Summers there were pretty hot, so one day, when we were passing by, I asked Gran,
Can we go swimming one day?
No.
But why?
And that was my downfall. I should have never asked why, because she proceeded to tell me,
The waters that fill this lake run through a graveyard, and the lake is infected with corpse plague. One local teenage boy jumped into the lake and got infected, and his nose and all his fingers rotted off. And you know what happened then? He literally died of same. In fact, he's buried in a very graveyard that infects the lake. Do you want that happening to you?
Jeez, Gran.
And you might say, okay, a little bit over the top, but maybe she didn't want you to swim in a random gross lake. Except that it wasn't random. There were railings installed there so people could safely get in and out. And there were like 20 people swimming.
You're all gonna die.
The second story also happened in summer. And more specifically when we were out picking wildflowers. My gran told me that a small yellow flower that goes by the nickname chicken blindness is incredibly dangerous when consumed and will cause you to go blind. Obviously not just blind, but horrifically blind, with your eyes melting out of your sockets and probably another disturbing death. So I was scared to even go near any yellow flower, let alone pick it. But this one time I went flower picking with my friend, and I saw her reach out to grab a similar yellow flower.
No, don't touch that one, are you crazy? Do you want to go blind? Why would I go blind? If you eat this flower, you'll get blindness. But why would I eat it?
Yeah, I didn't have an answer for that. I guess I was just scared that I'd be compelled to eat it if I simply just picked it, but obviously that would be ridiculous. It's not like a flower could make me eat it.
Eat me, child. Eat me.
One interesting thing about this story though is that even though the flower won't cause blindness in people, it is highly toxic and can cause skin irritation. And yes, it can cause blindness in chickens, hence the name. So yeah, Gran, you could have just said that. The second story in retrospective shows how gullible I actually was as a child. So really, I brought the soul on myself. But all joking aside, I loved my gran and her mad stories. She was the one who really got me into arts, and she was always rooting for me in her own very strange way. I'm really glad we got to spend so much time together in summer, because I think both of us had a lot of fun. There were so many more stories that she has told me, and believe me, they were just as strange and gory, but I'll save them for another time. A time when I'm mentally prepared to recall them.
Eat me, child. Eat me.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this new video. As you might notice, I've actually started using a lot more color in this one. I've colored the backgrounds, I've added a bit more detail, and my end goal is to make them look a bit more like the comics that I have on Instagram and have a bit of a mood to each scene, so it helps tell the story, if that makes sense. Also, I thought it would be fun for this end card is to teach you a Russian word relevant to the video, and the word of today is babushka, which means grandmother in Russian. You can actually see on the screen now the transcription of it, which means it's written out in English letters, and underneath you can see the original Russian spelling of it. Also on the screen you can see the photograph of my grandmother. This is her when she was a bit younger, but I hope I gave her justice with my character design. I wanted to make her look a bit more eccentric. I hope I did her justice because she was a living cartoon character and it was really fun to animate her. Anyway, yeah, thanks again for watching and I'll see you soon!